Welcome back to Writing Done Right. Well, today we're going to talk about getting started with eBooks, the very first processes that you need to get your ebook working. So we're going to cover a variety of different things. We're not going to do comprehensive here. There's a lot of things we're going to leave out. Let me tell you what we're going to do and what we're not going to do in just a moment. All right, so you've written your manuscript in LibreOffice and you're ready to start working on your ebook. So what we're going to want to do then is export the ebook in an epub 3 format and then open that up in Sigil and start doing some adjustments. So the first things we want to do, there's a meta tag that LibreOffice adds to the book that causes your ebook to be validated, so it will pass all validation, but it will fail to upload to Ingram Spark on an ebook distribution. So we're going to clear that meta tag out. The second thing we want to do is anytime you're using Microsoft Word or LibreOffice or any other XML type document format, when you export the ebook, it's going to create a mess of the CSS code and a mess of the HTML. We want to clean that up. You want your ebook to be as clean as possible. So we're going to show you in Sigil how to very quickly clean the code because most of it's consistent, batch replaced to nothings, and you got a cleaned up system. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll show you how to add a cover and update the manifests. We're not going to cover metadata. We're not going to cover how to do custom splits. We're not going to cover custom fonts or anything that's more atypical. This is just a basic primer. This is actually what I'm going to do when I'm preparing an advanced reader copy in an ebook format, or if I'm preparing an ebook for me to do an edit while my advanced readers are going through their portion of the edits. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to do that over on the computer. So we'll see you over there. All right, so here we are on the computer, and what we're going to do here is I'm going to start with a working document, which would be my science fiction book here, and we are going to just export this as a basic ebook that I can use to do the basic beta reading preview using just my e-reader as my beta readers are going through the system. So as I said in the introduction, this is not a full comprehensive how to get everything working right. This is designed just to get you started. You have a document, you want to get started working on an ebook. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our document inside of LibreOffice. Now I have this document broken down into heading 1s, which is my part 1 coming alive, my heading 2, which is all of my chapter titles, and you'll see that I have 29 different chapters here. Now, anytime you're creating ebooks out of Office documents, whether it's LibreOffice or Microsoft Word, it's going to export an excessive amount of extraneous code. That's going to be the big thing we're going to do, is cleaning all this up. And honestly, I've tried using some of the other tools to generate your ebooks as well. It does the same thing too. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start in LibreOffice, and we have under the file menu under export as, we have export as EPUB or export directly as EPUB. The directly as gives us this gives us just our basic default settings. So we're going to use the EPUB export because we have more options here. We can add identifiers, titles, authors, and the metadata. That's something you might want to do here. Although Sigil will do these just as well, but let's just go ahead and enter this information here as well. I don't actually need anything in the date. So we can pick our version. EPUB 3 is generally what you want, unless there's a very specific reason you need an older version. Now, split method, I would kind of prefer to go page break, which is going to give me a single file. But if there is one thing Linux does not handle well, it is massive, large files. And so I'm going to go with heading, which might mean it gives me 29 separate files, but at least I'll be able to work within the document, which is something that I want to be able to do. Otherwise, if I go in the page break, I've one document, it's going to lag out on me on this particular computer, which is not a good computer. So under our layout method, reflowable is generally what you want. So what this is it's going to determine does the text flow with the size of your reader's e-reader, which is preferably what you want, or are you locking certain things into certain sizes? Generally, you want to do reflowable unless, of course, there's a very specific reason you do your fixed. We can add our cover image or any custom media directories, but we're not going to mess with any of that here because Sigil will handle those things much better than this will. So go ahead and hit your export and then just save where you're going to export it to. I'm going to export it onto the desktop here. All right, so now here is my working EPUB file. If I open it up, you'll just kind of see it's just a very basic document, nothing else special there. So that is what it's going to look like. Now we want to open it up with Sigil, which might take a few minutes because this computer is pretty slow at opening new applications. Okay, it didn't. All right, so we actually only have 3 sections. So that actually means that it only split based on heading 1, which was a way better option than heading 2. I'm very happy about that. I was not sure which one I was going to do. So we can see it did give us a table of contents page, which is tucked in between the first 2. Not quite sure why it wanted to do that, but we can work within that. Let me just drag that guy up there so I don't have a table of contents in between my first and second sections of the book. Okay. Now, inside of here, one of the things that you are going to notice is it does give us a lot of these extra code. You can see all these spans and spans and spans and all these types of things. These guys here are what XML documents like to do. And that is kind of problematic. So I don't like any of those. Now, the one thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to have a look at these header tags. So you can see up here we have an HTML tag over here. We have a meta tag. Now, this meta tag right here that I have highlighted, LibreOffice drops this tag in when you are doing an ebook. This will pass validation. Okay, so it's going to pass validation if you run it through an EPUB validator, but Ingram Spark specifically will reject your book if this tag is in it. So I'm going to copy this tag, and then if you don't have your find button up here, then just click your Control F will toggle it on or off. So if it's off like this, just hit your Control F. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this guy in. I'm going to make sure this replace is blank. And then I'm going to come down here to the all HTML files, and I'm going to hit replace all. And what this is going to do is this is going to clear all 3 out. So that's going to take that tag out of all of my HTML files. So you'll kind of see now none of those will have that. I want to do that first so I don't forget about it, because that tag is going to prevent you from uploading your ebook to your Ingram Spark account. Now, the next thing I want to do here is I want to get rid of all of these spans. Okay. So now this span 0 appears as though it's only tied. So first let's go ahead and look at this span 0. Now these are class tags. And the class tags are actually going to tell you where the styling is done. So here's the style sheet. So you can kind of see there's a lot of stuff in here, and I really don't need any of this. So part of our cleanup, we're going to clear all these out, but we're going to do that a little bit later. Let's close the table of contents for now. I don't need that file. So you can see that all of the span 0s, let's just go ahead and do a search for my span 0s. Now you'll see that this is actually my basic section headers. So let's copy this, and we're going to paste, and I'm going to hit count all. So you'll see that it gives us 2. I'm guessing that the other one is going to be in this document right at the beginning of this. So let's have a look at that. So that's exactly where it is. And I should have a third one right here at part 3. I'm not sure why I don't. So let's examine part 3. Okay, and I do. Actually, it gives me, yeah, it does give me that. I'm not sure why it gave me count 2 in that. Maybe it's doing 2 counts in this. So let's go ahead and find the first one. So it looks like it's just finding it in part 1 and part 3. So something about part 2 is not showing that span, which I want to have a look at that. So, okay, part 2. And this guy here, okay, go back to hold on, go back to part 2 here. This is why I don't use this computer to do these. This computer does not work very well. Okay, so this one, actually, for some reason, that gave me a span 6. I'm not sure why. So basically, this guy here, I actually want to call this guy H1 for my organization, because I'm going to fix my class tag with that. So let's go H1. So this computer is very slow to work with. This is actually why I don't use this computer on a regular basis. So that's why I was having some issues with that tag there. So what I need to do is close my tag. So I need to open the tag with the H1 and close the tag. I'm not going to replace the other ones until I do some other changes first. I'm going to make this document a little bit easier to work with. Okay, so we're going to close the H1. Now that break should go away. All right, so the next thing I want to do here is I want to find, you can see that there's this span 2 here. You're going to see there's the documents littered full of these span 2s. We're going to copy this guy here, and I'm going to paste it over here. And I actually want to get rid of all of these span tags that are within this document. So I'm literally going to go into span 2, all HTML documents, replace it with nothing, and I'm going to hit replace all. Now this is going to cause our document to break again because there's going to be opening span tags with no closed span tags. So we're going to go ahead and hit replace all. It's going to go through and it's going to replace a ton of these guys. So you can see that cleared out 4,000 of those tags, which are all extraneous tags that we didn't actually need. Okay, so the next thing we're going to get rid of is we're going to get rid of all these span closing tags. Replace all. We should have a little over 5,000 would be my guess. There's some other span tags we're going to do. Okay, so just about that. All right. Now, you can see all of these parallels. One here, let's see. There's going to be some other spans somewhere. You can see because it's still telling us that, hey, we have some issues with our document. So let's see if I can find some more spans somewhere. Okay, so there's a span 1. Looks like our span 1 tag is actually tied to our chapters, which I want to call those H2s. So we're going to copy this guy here, and we're going to replace all of our span 1s with an H2 tag. About 22 of those. Okay, so now we need to find all of our H2s, and we need to fix those to all say closing in H2. So we're going to start and end all 12, all of these H2s with that. So in order to do this, we're going to search for all of our H2s. So let's go ahead and find the next one. And then we're going to close the H2 on each of these. And this is the process that we're going to do to clean this up. So this is why you want to do these right. It's going to take some time. There's no real way to perfectly automate this. But by the time we get to the end of this, it's going to go pretty well. So I'll go ahead and just shut up here for a little bit. And then I'll speed through this real quick. And then we'll come back with the next change we're going to do. Okay, so all the H2s are now replaced. Now the next thing that I see is I might find something like this guy here. Now this is a section tag. See this one right here is a little section tag. But what we have is we have this P-class para 1. So this is just some paragraph tag that, again, we don't need any of this. So we're going to just copy this guy out. Replace this with nothing. Replace all. Going to do our thing. So it found about 1,000 of those guys. So now we should just see some basic HTML tags beginning and ending paragraphs. There's still an error over here. We'll find that in just a minute. I'm just going to scan over this. So here's another one that we don't need. This is a para 2. Now it looks like your para 2s are all kind of surrounding our H2 tags there. I'm not going to worry about that yet. I can spot those in the previews a little bit better. So we're just going to go ahead and just replace them. Let's go ahead and do that. Replace all of these. I'm just going to look for any other code that's still in here that I don't need. Now, any emphasis type stuff, oh, look at that. There's a span 8. Okay, so we have a span tag here. This is probably what's giving us some issues, is this span 8. So let's copy this span 8. Get rid of all of those. Here's actually something we should see now, is we should see a paragraph to an H2 like this, and then a closing H2 closing paragraph. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to copy this guy and simply replace this with an H2. This is just going to strip out our paragraph tag that's there. Replace all of these. And then every time there was one of those closing, now we should have a closing H tag to a paragraph. Let's see. I think that's going to be good. Let's just go ahead and do that. All right. So let's go ahead and keep scrolling down. There should be some more spans in here somewhere we didn't get rid of. That's kind of what we're looking for. Just going to scroll down, just look at what the code looks like. Okay, there's some span 7s. Strip these guys out. Again, we're on all HTML files when we replace all these. And it looks like we have a span 0 over here. So remember, the span 0s, these are the ones that should be the H1s. So let's go ahead and just manually fix that one. Okay, so that one's fixed. Let's go ahead and, I think page 1 will probably need a fix as well. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and do a cover, and I just created a basic placeholder cover here. So it's going to go ahead and hit your add cover there, and we want to hit other files, and this will give us a pop-up for what's on the computer. So we're just going to go over here, and I have this placeholder image. We're going to go ahead and copy this guy in. So we'll go ahead and add this as a cover. You'll see that it adds a separate HTML file specifically for the cover. And then the next thing that you're going to want to do is, we're not going to cover the metadata editor. Well, let's go ahead and open that up. You can kind of see that it gave us the title and the creator. I'm not even sure why it gave us the date. We told it to delete the date, but oh well, whatever. So the next thing we want to do is we can generate a table of contents if we want to do that. So in this one, I don't really want to include the section breaks there. So we'll go ahead and just delete all those guys out. Generally, a fiction book does not have a table of contents, but just in case you're doing a nonfiction or something, you want to know how to do that. So go ahead and just clearing out all the guys that are the dashes. I don't want to include those in a table of contents. Also handy for the people who just kind of want to remember where they are. All right, so go ahead and click OK on that. Should give us a separate file there. And now the next thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and there's a couple little tools here. We want to update the manifest properties. That's something that's going to basically make sure that all of the files are inside of the properties of the document itself. We're going to generate the guide for the EPUB 2 readers. And there's one more we want to run. We don't want to run that one, actually. So I think we're pretty much good. So let's just go ahead and save the document here. So now our EPUB, if we open this guy up, I might still be running on the old cached version. Yeah, I'm running on the old cached version. That's why I absolutely hate Bookworm. I like Bookworm and I hate Bookworm. It drives me crazy because it keeps cached files there, and I'd actually have to go into the system and completely delete everything. All right, so here we are. This guy here will work for it. So here's our basic thing. Now, this is actually a PDF reader, so it doesn't look quite as good as it will in the ebook format. But here's our table of contents. We can go right to the specific part, and now everything is just working like this. Now, if you wanted each chapter to have its own page bar, we need to go in and just insert a separate page on each one of those guys, but that's kind of how that's going to work there. So you can go navigate up to here to wherever you want to get to. So that'll work. I wish I could show you what it looks like in a better e-reader like Bookworm, but since Bookworm likes to cache everything, I can't show you that because I open it up to start. Let's see. Can I force it to update itself? I'm not even sure. I can force it to update itself. Good. I did force it to update itself. All right. Here's our table of contents. And here's what the final ebook looks like inside a Bookworm. So again, you are going to want to do better styling when we're done, but this will get you started on how to get everything running with your ebooks. So with that, hopefully this video got you started. This is a longer process, and I will remind you, if you do have an ebook and you're looking at this saying this is probably a little bit too much work, you can definitely reach out to me. I do this as a service, and if there's obviously a cost involved. It's not a free service, but I do this as a service, so I can help you create a full-fledged professional ebook. And you can actually have a look at the various ebooks I've generated for my books, and if you want to see the quality of the works that we do. So anyway, hopefully this gets you started, and I hope that it will help you to get your writing done right.